Adopting the right habits will drastically improve your life. At least that's what James Clear says in this book, Atomic Habits. He's talking about small improvements in your behaviours, each building one on top of the other, compounding, snowballing into more and more meaningful changes until, just like that, your life is transformed. Small adjustments lead to massive transformations. I can't help but think that in the vast ocean of YouTube videos attempting to improve your financial well-being, tips and tricks to increase your net worth, and generally everything you need to know about being rich, they are almost all missing the point. And I'm including my own videos in this, by the way. You see, although using the right tax wrappers and understanding which index fund might be right for you are arguably important tips, they are also arguably not as important as you might think. Let me explain. These tips are the icing on the cake, tiny percentage points in the grand scheme of things. And the funny thing is, not one of these things will work if you can't get one thing right first. And it's this that is the only piece of financial advice you'll ever truly need. And in fact, it's more of a habit than anything else. In James's book, he talks about getting better 1% each day, and not only how to break bad habits, but perhaps more importantly, how to replace them with good ones. But the thing that really hit home for me and made me pause and really think for a minute was that it's far too easy to simply say what good habits you'd like to have are. We all know that eating healthily, getting plenty of sleep, regular exercise are all good habits to have, and yet how many of us neglect these fundamental behaviours? I know I do. James discusses the idea of forgetting about setting goals and instead focus on the systems, the processes that will get you there. So forget what the good habit is for a moment and instead think practically about how you are actually going to make it become part of your life. With that in mind, it's time for me to reveal the only piece of financial advice you'll ever need. Live on less than you make and invest the rest. Pretty obvious? Well, maybe, but if it's so obvious, why doesn't everyone do it? Around 60% of us spend more than we bring in, live outside of our means, and perhaps even more worryingly, this figure is getting worse. This habit of living on less than you make and putting aside the surplus is fundamentally the reason how anyone who builds wealth does it, without exception. And there is honestly no shortcut around this piece of advice. If becoming financially free is the good habit you are trying to incorporate into your life, then this is the process to get you there. But this is where I think we need to go one step further, look one step deeper. Because saying to you that the good habit you need is financial freedom, and the process to get you there is to live on less than you make, that isn't really very actionable advice, is it? So let's solve that. If you're someone who spends all of your income each month, or even worse, more than comes in, to reference Atomic Habits, this is the very definition of a bad habit and one you need to change. You see, bad habits repeat themselves again and again unless you find a way to break the cycle. You need a way to interrupt your normal behaviour. I want this video to be that interruption. James talks about a 4-step process on how to create good habits. But how might you apply this to achieving financial freedom? Step 1. Make it obvious. Make a budget if you haven't already. If you have, revisit it. Give every pound or dollar a job to do. You either spend it or put it aside for the future. Your budget should balance to zero. Don't bury your head away from the problem. Write down the numbers and let them stare you boldly in the face. Step 2. Make it attractive. After you've done your budget, put up on the wall how much spare money you can free up each month if you really set your mind to it. Let that soak in. Think about how your life will change. Step 3. Make it easy. A good example here is if you've got debts to tackle, start with the smallest ones first. Forget conventional thinking for a moment of starting with the highest interest rate debt first, and instead start by attacking the smallest debt. Get yourself a quick win and see how that feels. This is called the debt snowball approach. Watch these small wins compound towards something bigger. Step 4. Make it satisfying. Simply put, enjoy the process. Find enjoyment in eating leftovers for lunch and saving a fortune in the process. If you strangle down your expenditure so far that you live in misery, this good habit is going to be hard to form. Just because something like this has mapped out a simple 4-step process to get you there, I'm not saying it's necessarily easy. You see, the world is conspiring against you.
I count money when I'm bored. Watch the money hit the floor.
Western society is built around selling you the idea that you need to buy more things, newer things, and more expensive things. This is what will make you happier. Advertisers rely on this very message to sell you the next big gadget. We are bombarded with advertising every day trying to separate us from our hard-earned cash. But the truth is, people who overspend on material things tend to feel more anxious and miserable, whilst people who live below their means tend to feel secure and happy. Just remember this: there's always a bigger house, always a fancier meal, and always a more luxurious holiday. Lifestyle creep is real and never ending, and although I'm not telling you to not enjoy your money and buy things that bring you pleasure, just understand that very few material possessions truly bring much more than a momentary smile, and keeping up with the Joneses is a game that no one ever wins. Speaking of the Joneses, I think you might be surprised to learn what they really think of you anyway. I want you to think back to a time where your hair simply wouldn't cooperate, something I can definitely relate to. Or a day where you had bad skin, or that day where you were wearing an outfit you hated as nothing else was clean. You're walking around dying of embarrassment, thinking about what other people are saying about your unruly quiff, spotty chin, or tight jumper. Well, guess what? It's simply not happening. You might be surprised to learn that no one actually gives a shit. And this isn't just me saying this, there are academic studies that prove it. Back in the year 2000, a man called Tom Gilovich and his colleagues published a paper called the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. They gathered together a group of students in a room, all of them told to conduct a simple task that was not relevant to the actual study. One of the students in the room was randomly given an embarrassing t-shirt to wear. Interestingly, it was a t-shirt with Barry Manilow's face on it, as this was deemed to be the height of embarrassment. After their task was concluded, the researchers asked the poor student with Barry Manilow's face strewn across her chest, "How many people in the room do you think have noticed what you're wearing?" Their answer was 50%. When the rest of the group were actually asked how many of them had spotted that god-awful t-shirt one of their counterparts was wearing, it was only about 25% of them, around half of what the wearer thought. So actually wearing the shirt and sitting there wallowing in their own embarrassment caused them to vastly overestimate how many people would in fact take any notice. But then it gets even more interesting. A second study was run where the students got the choice between 3 non-embarrassing t-shirts with well-known popular faces on them: Bob Marley, Jerry Seinfeld, and Martin Luther King Jr. They too estimated that around 50% of the room noticed what they were wearing, but the actual number? Just 10%. In conclusion, most people are far too preoccupied thinking about themselves and what they are doing, how they look, and whether they should buy the latest Barry Manilow album. People have their own stuff to attend to. It's known as the spotlight effect, a phenomenon where people tend to vastly overestimate how much others notice aspects of their appearance or behaviour. This demonstrates why you shouldn't worry about buying stuff to show off or impress other people, and in the process, live outside of your means, because not only do most people not even notice your nice new shirt, they don't even actually care. So stop spending money on stupid stuff to impress people that aren't even going to notice anyway. Instead, get yourself to a place where you can walk around full of the satisfaction knowing that you're financially free, or at very least are on your way there. You can't buy that feeling from a shop, and I can guarantee most of the Joneses in your street don't have this. But wait, there is in fact something much more powerful than spending less. Yes, pack lunches instead of lavish midday feasts, making coffee at home instead of grabbing a Seattle cup, putting on an extra jumper and turning down the thermostat are all valid tips if you're on a tight budget. But living below your means is not about deprivation or sacrificing your happiness. It's about creating a more intentional and fulfilling life. I've always preferred encouraging people to alter the other side of the equation and earn more money. This might be squeezing more from your current job, maybe it's looking for a new one, but also consider a side hustle or two. I'm honestly yet to meet anyone that doesn't have a skill they could use to create another income. Honestly, no one. In this modern age with the internet at our fingertips, it's never been easier. Even if it's something small that gives you an extra £100 a month, it all helps, and I would care to bet that earning an extra £100 is much more fulfilling and rewarding than trimming £100 from your budget. What you don't know is that I've used this video to conduct my own experiment. I honestly don't know what the fuss is about. I'm not embarrassed. And to answer your next question, no, my name is not Lola, and I am definitely not a showgirl. But yes, I did buy this t-shirt, especially for this video. If that's not enough to make you subscribe, I honestly don't know what is. I wonder what percentage of you will remember me wearing this. I hope it's not 50%.